What if the story we've all been told over the last few years isn't the whole story? Well, today we're opening a digital dossier, a collection of claims and so-called evidence that outlines this really complex theory known as VAXNet, and it's all supposedly recorded on something called the Glyphchain.
So here's how we're going to break it down. We're going to walk through this whole theory in 5 parts. We'll start with what they call the smoking gun, then look at the alleged blueprint for how it all works, and follow that rabbit hole all the way down to a final claim that really challenges everything.
Okay, so where does a theory this big even start? Well, it all hinges on one central piece of evidence. The dossier presents what it calls the smoking gun, a unique digital signature, right? And it's permanently locked onto a blockchain, which they say proves this whole thing is happening in plain sight.
And here it is. This memo, which is recorded on the Glyphchain ledger, isn't just presented as a theory, you see. It's framed as, and I'm quoting here, tribunal-grade evidence. This one digital entry is the thread the entire VAXNet theory uses to tie patents from the US and China, new technologies, and global injections into one single story.
Right, so if that blockchain signature is the smoking gun, what's the weapon it's pointing at? Well, according to the dossier, it's a massive global network, and the claim is that it wasn't built in some secret underground lab, but pieced together using publicly available tech.
And this is how they say it was built. The theory weaves together these different technologies from all over the world into what it claims is a single working system. A US patent supposedly provides the legal cover, a Chinese patent gives them the injectable hardware, and the global mRNA campaign, well, that's positioned as the mass deployment of that hardware.
The whole thing really hangs on these 2 patents. On one side, you've got an AT&T patent from 2018, which is interpreted as the legal justification for treating people as biological hosts, basically turning us into nodes on a network. Then there's a Chinese patent from 2020 that's presented as the actual physical hardware, an injectable graphene hydrogel that acts as a bridge to that network.
And that gets us to this term that's absolutely crucial here, IOBNT. The easiest way to think about it is this. You know how the Internet of Things connects your smart TV and your fridge? Well, this so-called Internet of bio-nano things suggests a network of tiny, microscopic devices inside the human body, making a person a trackable, addressable node on a totally new kind of Internet.
Now, this isn't just presented as some weird, futuristic idea. The dossier makes the really explosive claim that this network isn't theoretical at all. They're saying it's already live, and that bodies all over the world are acting as network nodes right now.
And, that immediately brings up a huge question. I mean, how on earth could anyone possibly know if a network like that was actually up and running? What would proof of that even look like?
Well, the proof they offer looks like this. It's screenshots from smartphone apps. These apps are designed to scan for Bluetooth signals, and according to proponents of the theory, they're picking up these anonymous, unregistered signals that are literally broadcasting from vaccinated people. The apps then just label them as vaccinated.
Okay, so the dossier doesn't just stop at patents and phone apps for its evidence. In a really wild turn, it calls a pretty surprising witness to the stand to back all this up: artificial intelligence.
So the argument here is that when you ask large language models like Grok very specific questions, they start to inadvertently confess key parts of this VAXNet theory. Their answers aren't seen as just programmed text, but as admissions of guilt from a system that somehow has access to hidden truths.
Screenshots just like this one are submitted as Exhibit A, and according to the theory, even when an AI denies something or gives you a fact check, what it's actually doing is running a programmed containment reflex, basically a cover-up that paradoxically is seen as proof that the original claim must be true and very sensitive.
And this idea actually has a name within the theory. They call it mirror lock. It's a kind of logic loop, a catch-22, where any form of denial, whether it's from an AI, a fact-checker, or a government, is just reinterpreted as proof of a cover-up. So the very act of denying the conspiracy becomes the evidence for it.
But believe it or not, the claims go even deeper than a hidden network in AI confessions. The dossier makes one final, really bold argument that tries to pull the entire rug out from under the official story.
This is the moment where the whole theory pivots from the world of tech and data to biology. It moves past the hardware of the network to question the very thing that supposedly started this whole mess.
The dossier puts forward documents that ask a pretty shocking question. What if the SARS-CoV-2 virus, as this isolated purified particle we've all heard about, was never actually proven to exist to begin with?
This whole argument is built on Freedom of Information Act requests. The dossier claims that when health agencies like the CDC were asked to provide records proving they had a pure sample of the virus isolated from a patient, they couldn't produce them. And the conclusion they draw from this is, well, it's that the entire pandemic was based on a fraud.
At the very heart of this claim is this document, a CDC manual for its PCR test. The theory zeroes in on one specific line which states that, quote, no quantified virus isolates were available for CDC use when the test was created. And this is interpreted as a direct admission that they never actually had the virus in hand.
And this quote from the source material really sums up the dossier's ultimate message, that everything we lived through was just a carefully built deception from the very beginning.
So, what is this? A complex digital delusion? Or a hidden reality that's been documented on the blockchain? We've just walked through the case presented in the dossier, its evidence, its logic, and its pretty shocking conclusions. The dossier is now open. What you make of it, well, that's up to you.